Hello. The message showed up at 6:47 in the evening, right as I was finishing my dinner. Emergency meeting downtown. I have to stay overnight at the hotel. I am sorry, honey. I will call you later. I stared at the text for 10 full seconds. Then I started laughing to myself. 3 weeks earlier, my wife had started acting different. New perfume, long showers. Her phone flipped face down at dinner every night. All the classic signals. Still, I wanted proof, not guesses. My big moment came when I decided to surprise her with lunch at her job. I walked into the office building and asked the security guard where I could find Andrews and Associates. The man gave me a puzzled look. Andrews and Associates? Sir, that company left 6 months ago. 6 months. She had been leaving the house every morning, pretending to go to work at a place that did not even exist anymore. That evening, I went through our bank statements. Not a single paycheck since March. But there were plenty of charges I had never seen before. Gas stations on the other side of town, restaurants I had never heard her mention, and a monthly payment to something called Williamson Executive Suites. Friday morning, I followed her. She drove straight to a high-end hotel downtown and walked inside like it was her second home. 20 minutes later, Daniel Harris walked in. Her old college boyfriend. The guy she swore she had not talked to in years. I waited 2 hours. When they walked out together, there was no way to misinterpret it. So tonight, when she sent that text about an emergency meeting, my reply was sharp enough to cut glass. Give my regards to your ex-boyfriend Daniel in marketing, room 418, right? I hit send and went back to my dinner. Took exactly 3 bites before my phone started blowing up. Call after call, text after text. I let it all ring out. By 7:15, I heard tires screeching into the driveway. The front door flew open, and she came running in. Mascara streaked down her face. Hair wild. Car keys shaking in her hand. Her phone clutched in the other, her thumb flying across the screen as she tried to delete messages. How did you? She started, stopped, started again. It is not what you think. I took another bite of my sandwich, chewed slow, swallowed. So tell me what it is, then. There actually was a meeting. Daniel just happened to be there because since I lost my job, he has been helping me pay for my meeting spaces at the hotel. She froze like a deer caught in headlights. Andrews and Associates moved out in March, I said. The security guard was very helpful. Funny thing about lies, they fall apart real fast when someone actually checks them. All the color drained from her face. You have been following me, she whispered. I have been paying attention. There is a difference. She sank into the chair across from me, her phone still buzzing every few seconds. Probably Daniel, wondering where his afternoon entertainment had gone. We need to talk, she said, trying to sound tough. We are talking. You are just not saying anything worth hearing. This is my marriage, too. You cannot just. Cannot just what? I cut her off. Notice my wife has not been going to work? Ask about mystery charges on our credit card? Expect honesty from the person who vowed to be faithful? Her mouth opened and closed like she was testing out different lies in her head. Finally she muttered, "It is complicated." No, I said. It is really not. You lost your job, hid it for half a year, and kept meeting your ex-boyfriend at hotels instead of looking for new work. You only stopped because I caught you. Nothing complicated about that. I stood up, gathered my plate, and walked into the kitchen. Through the window, I could see old Mr. Jenkins mowing his lawn, just a regular man doing honest work. When I turned back, she was frantically deleting messages again, like her life depended on it. You might want to save some of those, I said calmly. Save them for what? I gave her a smile, not the kind she was used to. For when you have to explain to everyone how you have been spending your days. Her phone buzzed again. Daniel. His name flashed bright every few seconds. She stared at it like it was a bomb about to go off. Answer it, I said. What? Answer Daniel's call. I want to hear what he has to say. I am not going to. You are not going to what? Talk to your boyfriend? The man you have been meeting at hotels while pretending to go to work? He is not my boyfriend. I laughed. Could not help it. Right. Just a business partner. What kind of business needs a hotel bed and 6 months of lies? The phone rang again. Daniel was persistent. I almost respected the effort. Here is what is going to happen, I said as I walked toward her. You are going to answer that call and put it on speaker, or I will call him myself and ask why he has been bankrolling my wife's unemployment vacation. Her hands shook. Real fear in her eyes. Good. She should feel something. She answered on the 4th ring. Daniel, I cannot talk right now. Where did you go? You just vanished. I have been calling for 20 minutes. Are you all right? I motioned for her to put him on speaker. She hesitated for 2 seconds, then obeyed. Daniel, she said, her voice cracking. My husband, he knows. That was what she finally managed to say into the phone. The silence on Daniel's end felt heavy enough to drop on the floor. Then he said, very softly, knows what? I leaned closer so he could hear me clearly. He knows about Williamson Executive Suites, she said, her voice shaking. He knows about the weekly meetings. He knows you have been paying for them. Should I keep listing things, Daniel? Who is this? He snapped. This is the husband, I said. The one paying the mortgage while you cover the hotel rooms. A long stretch of silence followed. Then his voice came back, trying and failing to sound tough. Look, man, this is not what you think. It is exactly what I think, I told him. You have been meeting my wife in hotel rooms while she pretends she is still working. She lost her job 6 months ago, and instead of trying to find work, she started a little side project with you. We were not. It is not like that, he stammered. Then what is it like, Daniel? Go ahead. Educate me. I could hear him breathing hard through the phone. My wife stared at me like I had turned into someone else. She had never seen this version of me, the version that stopped asking politely and started taking control. We are just friends, Daniel finally managed. Friends? I repeated. Friends who meet in hotel rooms? Friends who lie to their spouses? Friends who sneak around like kids hiding cigarettes behind the school? Silence. I should go, he said suddenly. No, I snapped. You stay right where you are. I want to make sure we understand each other. My wife will not be meeting you again. Not in hotels. Not in parking lots. Not anywhere. And the money you have been sending every month? That ends now. You cannot tell me what to do, he barked. I smiled, even though he could not see it. I am not telling you what to do, Daniel. I am telling you what is going to happen. Big difference. And if I do not agree, he shot back. Then everyone you know finds out, I said calmly. Your employer, your family, your neighbors. I will make sure every single one of them learns exactly what kind of man you are. The kind who spends his time and money chasing married women while their husbands work to support the household. The line went quiet except for his shaky breathing. Your choice, Daniel. Walk away clean, or let this follow you for the rest of your life. Click. He hung up. I looked at my wife. She stared at her phone like it had turned into a burning coal. Well, I said, sitting back down. That was educational. You had no right to do that, she said through clenched teeth. I had every right, I told her. You handed me that right the moment you lied about working. When you met other men while I paid our bills. When you decided to make a fool out of me. She started crying. Not the dramatic kind she used when she wanted something from me. These were different. These were the tears of someone who finally realized the ground had fallen out from under them. What happens now? She whispered. I finished the last bite of my sandwich and stood up. Now, I said, you start telling me the truth. All of it. Beginning with how long this has been happening, and what exactly you have been doing with my money while pretending to earn your own. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, leaving mascara streaks that made her look like a raccoon caught in headlights. It started after I got laid off, she said, barely audible. I was embarrassed. You were working so hard, taking extra shifts, and I could not even keep my job. I stayed quiet and let her talk. I ran into Daniel at the coffee shop on 5th Street. We talked, and he said he could help me network, help me find new opportunities. She paused, waiting to see if I would respond. I did not, so she continued. The hotel meetings were supposed to be for job interviews. He said he had contacts. Job interviews that required you to redo your makeup beforehand, I said. Her cheeks flushed red. It did not start that way, she said. But it eventually became that. Yes. The word came out of her like she was confessing to a priest. When? I asked. 2 months ago. Maybe 3. I do not remember the exact date. I walked to the kitchen counter, grabbed a notepad, and started writing. She watched me nervously. What are you doing? She asked. Taking notes, I said. Taking notes for what? I looked up at her. For the divorce attorney. Keep talking. Her face turned white. Divorce? We do not need to do that. We can fix this. Counseling, therapy, anything you want. I do not want counseling, I said. I want the truth. How much money has Daniel given you? It is not like that. How much? She stared down at her hands. He paid for the hotel rooms, she said. Sometimes he gave me money for gas or food. Little things. How much in total? I do not know, she said. Maybe $1,000. Maybe more. I wrote it down. What did you tell him about our marriage? I asked. Nothing terrible, she insisted. I just told him we were drifting apart. We were not drifting apart, I said. Not until you started lying. I know, she whispered. You are right. I messed up. I set the pen down and looked her straight in the eyes. You did not mess up, I said. You made choices. Daily choices. For months. You chose to lie about your job. You chose to meet another man. You chose to take his money. You chose to come home and kiss me goodnight while smelling like his cologne. She winced every time I spoke, like each word was a small punch she could not dodge. And tonight, I said, even after everything you have already done, you still chose to lie. That was your first instinct. I was scared, she whispered. Scared of what? I asked. Scared of me finding out the truth? Or scared of losing your backup plan? My backup plan? Yes, I said. Daniel, your safety net. Keep the husband for stability. Keep the boyfriend for attention. Cover all your bases. She cried again, but I had already moved past feeling anything for her tears. That is not what this was, she insisted. Then what was it? I asked. Break it down for me like I am an idiot, because apparently I have spent the last 6 months acting like one. She took a shaky breath. I felt worthless after losing my job, she said quietly. Daniel made me feel important again. He made me feel like I mattered. And I did not. I asked. You did, she said. Just differently. You made me feel safe and secure. Daniel made me feel wanted. There it was. Finally, the truth with no filters. So you decided you deserved both? I said. I never meant for it to go this far. I picked up the pen again. Did you sleep with him? She closed her eyes. Yes. How many times? Does it matter? It matters for the paperwork. She swallowed hard. Several times. Maybe a dozen. I wrote it down. Did you use protection? I asked. What? Did you use protection when you had sex with Daniel? Her face turned bright red. Yes. Always. Good. I will still get tested, but that helps. She looked horrified. You are actually going to divorce me over this? I set the pen down and stared at her like she had just asked me if fire was hot. You have been unemployed for 6 months and lied about it. You have been sneaking around hotels with your ex-boyfriend and lying about that, too. You took money from him while I covered every bill we had. You slept with him repeatedly. And tonight, when you were caught, you lied again. Tell me, what part of that sounds like something worth saving? But we can fix this, she said desperately. We can rebuild trust. Trust? I almost laughed. You want to rebuild something we never even had. You have been lying since March. It is November. That is not a mistake. That is a lifestyle. She suddenly stood up. So this is it. 8 years of marriage, and you are just throwing it away? I am not throwing anything away, I said. You already did that when you chose Daniel over honesty. I chose you, she said quickly. I am here, am I not? You are here because you were caught, I said. If I had not sent that message tonight, you would be in room 418 right now, would you not? She did not answer. She did not have to. Pack a bag, I said. What? Pack a bag. You are not sleeping here tonight. This is my house too. Actually, it is not, I replied. Look at the lease. My name is the only one on it. Has been since the day we moved in. Her jaw dropped open. I could almost see the gears in her mind turning, scrambling for a comeback, an angle, some foothold she could use. You cannot just kick me out, she said. I have rights. You have the right to find somewhere else to sleep, I said. Call Daniel. He will be thrilled to help. I am not calling Daniel. Fine. Call your sister. Call a friend. Call a hotel. I do not care where you go, but you are not staying here tonight. She took out her phone and dialed. I heard her sister answer. Cindy, it is me, she said. Her voice cracked. I need a favor. Can I stay at your place tonight? Something happened with my husband. I could hear Cindy asking questions through the speaker, but my wife dodged them. We had a fight. I will explain later. After she hung up, she looked at me with an expression that was clearly supposed to make me feel sorry for her. Cindy wants to know if this is permanent. Tell her to ask you in a week, I said. A week. That is how long you have to figure out what comes next. Find a job. Find a place. Find a lawyer. Whatever you need to do. You are not being fair. I actually laughed. Fair? You were talking to me about fair? Fair would have been telling me the truth when you lost your job. Fair would have been telling me the truth when I asked how your day went. Fair would have been not taking money from another man while I paid every bill we had. I never asked Daniel for money, she said weakly. But you accepted it, I said. That is the part you keep forgetting. She had nothing to say. Pack your bag. Cindy is waiting. 20 minutes later, She came down the stairs with a suitcase and her makeup bag. She paused at the door, probably hoping I would suddenly change my mind. "Tell her we could work it out," she whispered. "I love you." "No," I said flatly. "You love what I provide. Stability. Security. Someone who covers the bills while you play house with another man." "That is not true." "If you loved me," I said, "you would have told me when you lost your job. You would have asked for help instead of lying. You would have looked for a job instead of finding another man." She opened her mouth like she wanted to argue, but nothing came out. For once, she had no words. After she left, I poured myself a drink and sat down at my computer. Time to get practical. First thing I did was change every password we shared. Bank accounts, credit cards, streaming services, everything. After I updated the passwords, I called the bank and had her taken off every account where she was listed as an authorized user. Turns out that is shockingly easy when you are the main account holder. A few verification questions, a couple signatures, done. Next, I sent a short email to my attorney. Straight to the point. I need to discuss divorce proceedings. My wife has been unemployed for 6 months while lying about working. She has also been having an affair. Can you meet tomorrow? He answered within an hour. Available at 10 o'clock in the morning. Bring documentation. So I spent the next hour gathering everything. Bank statements, credit card summaries, the lease, tax returns, any paperwork showing I had been covering every bill while she pretended to be the breadwinner she no longer was. Around midnight, my phone started ringing. Her number. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again and again. Eventually, I just shut the phone off. When I woke up the next morning, I had 17 missed calls and 12 text messages. I scrolled through them while drinking my coffee. "Please call me back. We need to talk. I made a mistake. We can fix this. Do not throw away 8 years over one bad decision. I will do anything. Please." But the last message was different. I told Cindy everything. "She thinks you are being unreasonable." I deleted every one of them and got ready for work. At the office, I kept my phone on silent, but the screen kept lighting up with new calls and texts. Around lunchtime, my coworker Gary tapped on the wall of my cubicle. "Hey," he said, "your wife called the main line. Says you are not answering your cell." "What did she want?" "She wanted me to give you a message. Said she is sorry and she will do whatever it takes." "What did you tell her?" "I told her I would pass it along." Gary hesitated. "Everything okay at home?" "Everything is fine," I said. "She is just being dramatic about something." Gary nodded and went back to his desk. I made a mental note to tell Human Resources she was no longer allowed to contact me at work. My attorney's office was downtown, in the same building where she used to pretend she worked. That little twist of irony did not escape me. "This is pretty simple," my attorney said after reviewing everything. "No children, no shared assets beyond a small checking balance. The lease is in your name, separate car titles. Should be a clean break." "How long will it take?" I asked. "If she does not fight it, 6 to 8 weeks. If she contests it, 6 months, maybe a little more." "She will fight it. Most people do at first," he said. "But once they realize it is over, they usually stop resisting." "And the affair?" "Adultery does not change much financially in this state," he said, "but it can speed up the process. And you have proof." I showed him screenshots of Daniel's calls from the night everything blew up. Bank records showing the hotel charges. And, most important, the recording of her confessing. "Wait," he said, "you recorded that?" "It is a single-party consent state. Completely legal." He smiled. "You did your homework." When I got home later, there was a note taped to the front door. "I am staying at Cindy's. Please call me. We need to talk like adults. I know I messed up, but ending our marriage is not the answer." I crumpled it up and tossed it in the trash. Then I ordered a pizza and put on the game. For the first time in months, I did not have to wonder where my wife was or who she was with. It felt pretty damn good. 3 days into my new quiet routine, Daniel decided he suddenly had courage. I was leaving work Wednesday evening when I saw him leaning on my car in the parking lot. He had clearly been waiting a while, probably psyching himself up. When he spotted me, he straightened and tried to look tough. Daniel Harris was maybe 5 feet 8 on his best day and weighed, I would guess, 140 pounds soaking wet. I am 6'2" and spent 4 years in construction before switching to my office job. Physically, it looked like a grown man being confronted by an angry pigeon. "We need to talk," he said, trying to make his voice sound deep. "No, we do not," I replied, walking past him and unlocking my car. "You cannot just ruin people's lives because you are upset," he said. I turned around slowly. Ruin people's lives? That is funny coming from you. You know what I mean, he said. What happened between your wife and me? What happened, I cut in, is that you went after a married woman, and she was foolish enough to go along with it. Now you both get to live with what came next. She came to me for help, he insisted. She was struggling, emotionally and financially. So you helped her right into a hotel bed, I said. What a hero. His face turned bright red. It was not like that, he snapped. Then what was it like, Daniel? Because from where I am standing, it looks like you saw an opening and took advantage of someone who was vulnerable. I care about her, he said. If you cared about her, I replied, you would have told her she needed to tell her husband about losing her job. Instead, you helped her lie for half a year. He took a step closer to me. Big mistake. You do not deserve her, he said. I smiled, not a friendly smile. You are probably right, I said. I do not deserve a lying, cheating wife who takes money from other men. That is why I am divorcing her. She loves you, he said. No, I replied. She loves my paycheck. There is a difference. You are making a huge mistake. The only mistake I made, I told him, was not checking her story sooner. But that has been fixed. David clenched his fists like he was trying to decide whether he wanted to throw a punch. Honestly, I almost hoped he would. It had been one hell of a week, and I could have used the release. She is not just going to disappear from your life, he said finally. Actually, I said she is. The divorce paperwork gets filed tomorrow. After that, the only way I will hear from her is through attorneys. What if she does not sign? He asked. Then she can explain to a judge why she thinks adultery and fraud are acceptable qualities in a marriage. Should make for an interesting discussion. I could see him trying to figure out if threats would help, if he still had some kind of leverage. I could make things difficult for you, he said. How? I asked. I know where you work. I know your routine. I laughed out loud. Are you threatening me, David? Because if you are, you might want to remember this parking lot is covered in security cameras. And law enforcement takes workplace harassment pretty seriously. He glanced up at the cameras, and whatever fight he had left leaked out of him like air leaving a popped tire. Just think about what you are doing, he said, backing away. 8 years of marriage. 8 years she threw away for quick hotel room trips with you. I said, do not put that on me. He turned and walked off without another word. I watched him climb into a beat-up old sedan and drive away. Then I called my attorney and told him what happened. File a police report, he said. Create a trail, just in case he tries something later. The next morning, her sister called my work line. Cindy, her so-called voice of reason. The same Cindy who thought I was being unreasonable. She is devastated, Cindy said, not even bothering with a greeting. She can barely eat. She cries constantly. She should have thought about that before she started lying, I said. Everyone makes mistakes. A mistake is forgetting to bring home milk, I said. What she did was a string of choices she made every day for 6 months. That is not a mistake. That is a lifestyle. You are being cruel. I am being honest. There is a difference. She wants to go to counseling, Cindy said. I do not. You will not even try to save your marriage. There is nothing left to save. She ended at the moment she chose to lie about her job and sleep with Daniel. One affair does not have to end everything. I paused. Cindy, would you stay married to someone who lied to you every single day for half a year? Someone who took money from another man while you paid all the bills? Someone who only came clean because they were caught in the act? Silence. That is what I thought, I said. She is family, Cindy whispered. Not anymore. The divorce papers were filed an hour ago. After I hung up, I blocked Cindy's number as well. That weekend, I got a surprise visit from her parents. They arrived Saturday morning while I was drinking coffee and reading the news. Her father, Camden, was a man I had always respected. Former military, no patience for nonsense. Her mother, Nora, had always been good to me, but I knew she was here to defend her daughter. We heard about the separation, Camden said as I opened the door. It is not a separation, I answered. It is a divorce. Maybe we can sit down and talk this through, Nora suggested. Like adults. I motioned toward the living room. Have a seat. Coffee, Camden said simply. I brought out 3 cups and sat across from them. Nora's eyes wandered around the house, like she was scanning for signs of disaster. She is not handling this well, Nora said. I imagine she is not, I replied. You were always good for her, Camden said. You kept her steady. Apparently not steady enough, I said. People make mistakes, Nora offered. Mr. Randall, I said, interrupting. Your daughter has been lying to me for 6 months. She lost her job and hid it from me. She met her ex-boyfriend at hotels while I worked long hours to pay the bills. She only admitted anything when I confronted her with evidence. That is not a slip-up. That is a scam. Camden's expression hardened. A scam? Yes, I said. She took money from Daniel while pretending she was helping with our expenses. She charged gas and food for their hotel outings to our joint card. She committed adultery and lied about it over and over. Nora's face fell. She told us the two of you were having marriage issues, Nora said softly. We did not have issues, I said. We had her unemployment and her affair, both of which she hid from me. Camden said nothing at first. Then he finally asked, how long did this go on? 3 months of physical involvement, I said. 6 months of emotional involvement and financial help from Daniel. And you found out how, he asked. I explained everything. Her fake job, the company that had moved out months earlier, the bank statements, the hotel. When I finished, Camden looked at his wife, then back at me. Son, he said slowly, I owe you an apology. She did not tell us the real story. Nora was crying quietly. I cannot believe she would do this, she whispered. Neither could I said. That is why it took me 6 months to piece it together. Camden stood up and held out his hand. You are doing the right thing, he said. A man should not have to put up with that kind of disrespect. After her parents left, I felt something I honestly did not expect, validation. Even they understood that some boundaries, once crossed, stay crossed. Sunday evening, she called me one last time. My parents told me what you said, she began. I told them the truth. They think I should sign the divorce papers. Your parents are smart people, I said. Is this really what you want? What I wanted, I told her, was a wife who did not lie to me every single day for half a year. Since that is apparently not an option, yes, I will settle for a clean divorce. I could change, she said. You had 6 months to change, I answered. You chose not to. I was scared. Scared of what? I asked. Scared of me? Scared of telling the truth? Scared of getting a job? Scared of disappointing me? Well, mission accomplished. She was quiet for so long I thought the call had dropped. Finally, she said, the papers will be signed tomorrow. Good. Your attorney has my attorney's information. Will you ever forgive me? I actually stopped and thought about it. Really thought. Forgiveness is for people who earn it, I said. You threw away 8 years of marriage for hotel room sex with your ex-boyfriend. That is not something a person forgives. That is something a person learns from. Learns what? She whispered. That actions have consequences. That lies always surface. That some mistakes cannot be repaired. She hung up without saying goodbye. 2 weeks later, the divorce was final. No arguments. No emotional scenes. No last-minute begging. She finally accepted the truth I had known the moment I sent that message. It was over. I kept the house. She kept her car and whatever savings she still had. Apparently, Daniel stopped answering her calls once he realized I was not bluffing. 3 months later, I heard from Gary that she had gotten a job at a retail store and was renting a small studio apartment across town. Daniel had moved away to some other city altogether. I honestly wished them both luck. They were going to need it. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I was living a completely different life, an actually better life. I had gotten a promotion at work, partly because I was no longer preoccupied with wondering what my wife was really doing during the day. Turns out when you stop covering for someone else's mess, you have a lot more time and energy to focus on your own goals. The house felt bigger without her clutter everywhere. I repainted the bedroom, bought new furniture, made the space mine. No more walking on eggshells. No more combing through bank statements looking for suspicious charges. No more wondering why she was always glued to her phone. One night, I was having dinner at Olive Garden with Gary and his wife when I saw her. She was working there. She had the standard uniform on and looked exhausted. She recognized me before I could look away. I saw the exact moment she realized she was assigned to our table. She walked over slowly, order pad in hand. Hello, she said softly. Hi. Gary and his wife looked between us, unsure what to do. I am Ruby, she said. I will be your server tonight. Can I start you with drinks? I ordered a beer. Gary and his wife ordered iced teas. She wrote it all down without meeting my eyes and walked away. That is your ex-wife. Gary's wife whispered. Yes, I said. This is awkward. For her, I replied. When she returned with the drinks, her hands trembled slightly. The confident woman who used to lecture me about budgeting and money was gone. In her place stood someone who had learned what consequences tasted like. Ready to order? She asked. We gave her our choices. She wrote them down carefully, taking her time like she was afraid of making even one small mistake. How long have you been working here? I asked when she finished writing. She looked up, surprised by the question. 3 months, she said. You like it? It is honest work, she said. And there was a clear emphasis on the word honest. That is good, I said. Honesty matters. She nodded and walked away. Gary leaned closer. That was cold, was it? I asked. I asked her how she liked her job. Just small talk. You know exactly what you did, he said. Maybe I did. But after half a year of wondering how she was doing, half a year of feeling a little guilty about ending the marriage, I have to admit, it felt good seeing her genuinely working, earning her own money instead of lying about it. When she brought out our meals, she avoided my eyes entirely. But as she set my plate down, she whispered, Can we talk? After my shift? No, please. Just for a minute. We have nothing to talk about, I said. I want to apologize, she said quietly. You already apologized. More than once. I mean a real apology, she said. Not the fake ones I gave before. I looked at her for a long moment. She looked older, worn down. The easy confidence she had when someone else was financing her lifestyle was gone. All right, I said. One conversation. Her shift ended at 9 o'clock. I waited in the parking lot, sitting in my car, scrolling through emails on my phone. She came out the employee door and walked up to my window. Thank you for waiting, she said. You have 5 minutes, I told her. I was wrong about everything, she said. I should have told you when I lost my job. I should have asked for help instead of lying, she said. I should have ended things with Daniel before they ever started. I listened without saying anything. I know you will probably never forgive me, she continued, her voice shaking. And I get that. But losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. It was not a mistake, I said. A mistake is an accident. What you did was make choices. Every day? For 6 months. You chose to lie. I know. You chose Daniel instead of honesty. You chose his money instead of finding real work. You chose hotel rooms instead of your marriage. Her tears were falling steady now. I know, she whispered. So do not call it a mistake, I said. Call it what it really was. You traded everything we built for something that did not even last 3 months. He left town, she said quietly. When things got difficult, when you filed the divorce papers, he disappeared. Just like you said he would. Men like Daniel always disappear when real life shows up, I said. They want the fun, not the responsibility. I learned that the hard way. You learned a lot of things the hard way. She wiped her eyes. Are you happy? She asked. I thought about it. Was I happy? My life was stable, peaceful, honest. I did not lie awake at night wondering what was happening behind my back. I did not worry about money mysteriously vanishing. I did not feel that weight on my chest anymore. Yes, I said. I am. She nodded slowly. I am glad. You deserve that. So do you, I said. But happiness has to be built on truth, not lies. I am trying to do better, she said. Good for you. She stepped back from the car. I should let you go. Take care of yourself, I said. And I genuinely meant it. As I drove away, I felt something shift inside me. The anger I had been carrying for so long, it was gone. Not because I forgave her, but because I simply did not care enough to stay angry anymore. She had become someone I once knew, someone who made a series of bad choices and now had to live with the results. A year later, I heard she moved to another state to start fresh. I hoped she had learned something from our marriage, at least enough to be honest with the next person who trusted her. As for me, I was dating someone new. Her name was Zoe. She worked in accounting at my company. She was straightforward, honest, and financially independent. She paid her own bills. She told the truth about her day. She did not have any old boyfriends hiding in hotel rooms. On our third date, she asked me about the divorce. What happened? She asked over dinner. My ex-wife decided lying was easier than telling the truth, I said. I decided a marriage without trust was not worth holding on to. That must have been hard, she said. The hardest part, I told her, was realizing I had been living with a stranger for half a year. Someone who looked like my wife, talked like my wife, but was not the person I thought I married. Do you ever miss her? Zoe asked. I thought about that. Did I miss her? I missed who I believed she was. I missed the sense of security I thought I had. I missed not having to question everything. But did I miss her? The woman who lied to my face every morning for 6 months? The woman who took money from another man while I paid her car insurance? The woman who treated our marriage like a part-time commitment? No, I said. I do not miss her. And it was the truth. 3 years later, I married Zoe in a simple ceremony with family and close friends. She never lied about her schedule, never disappeared for mysterious meetings, never gave me a reason to doubt her. People sometimes ask if I am glad my first marriage ended. That is the wrong question. I am glad I learned who my ex-wife really was before wasting more years on someone who did not value honesty or commitment. The right person does not make you question your worth. They do not make you doubt your judgment. They do not make you feel like a fool. The right person tells you the truth, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts. I learned that lesson the hard way, but I learned it well. And at the end of the day, that education was worth every painful moment of discovering who my first wife truly was behind the lies. Sometimes the best thing that can happen is finding out the truth about someone while you still have time to do something about it. In my case, it was not too late. I had a choice. Accept being lied to, or demand better. I chose better, and I have never regretted it. Bye.